Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining me for this very special episode. My name is Los, and this is MilSpec KLR. For those of you who are wondering why this episode's so special, well, I'll tell you why. Because I'm in it. Going live! Kinda. Now, there's a couple of things I would like to say here on this episode, one of which I'm sorry that it's been a while since I last uploaded a video. Unfortunately, winter happened. And then some life situations happened that's kept me from recording anything of any substance. So I want to say I'm sorry. It's been a while, but we're getting ready for the 2025 riding season here. And this is why I've created this video. As you can see, here we are, live from my living room, kinda again. So what we got going on here in this video is, as you can see, I'm messing with the front of the bike. What's happening is, I have what I call air raid sirens, because that sounds cooler than just regular sirens, on the front of the bike. You can actually see one right there on the left bottom hand corner of the screen almost, right next to my girlfriend there. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling out the old wiring harness that I kind of threw together back in the day when I first got the sirens. I was so excited to have them and I wanted to hear how they sounded, because, you know, all you have on the website is 110 decibels each, so I want to know what 220 decibels sounded like. So I just kind of quickly threw something together to get it on the bike, and I just never went back to swap out the harness, make it a little bit more permanent. A couple of weeks ago, one of the wires actually broke from bending with the handlebars, going back and forth. So I was like, yeah, it's about time I get those switched out, do a better job this time around, and then go from there. Another thing that happened was the power switch that I used to power those sirens, I found one. It said it was weatherproof, and I figured that'd be a good one to use since the bike lives outside in the weather. And I was like, you know, I'll go with that one. It's a little $15 switch. It lasted me a year, but unfortunately, Mother Nature won, ruined the switch. So this time around, I upgraded to a waterproof one in the hopes that that one will last me a little longer than just a year. You'll see that here come up on screen any moment now. There's the old switch, and presto changeo, magical Piro, here comes the new switch. Bam, right there. So that's my new waterproof switch I'm going to be installing in its place. So in addition to the air raid sirens, I'm also going to be wiring up my wireless charger for my phone mount. But wait, there's more. We're not only going to be messing with the wiring harness today, we're also going to be messing with one of my ammo cans. Now, my plan for the ammo can is to equip it with some gear, one of which is this toolkit you see here. Now, we actually had a situation that happened in one of my videos. My boy Romero had his bike fall apart on him, and nobody really had tools to help him out while we were out on our ride. So because of that, I decided, you know what, I should probably carry something on me just in case something happens and I can be helpful with somebody else's bike or my own. I have something there so that we don't go without. Another thing that we're going to be doing is, as part of my ammo can setup, is the fact that I run two 2.5 gallon gas cans on the front of the bike. They're real, they're made out of steel. I got those at the same Army surplus store I got my ammo cans. And I intend on using them for the rides where I'm either going to go out way farther and don't feel like dealing with a gas station, or if I go hit a trail, because that's one of my plans for this year, is I want to actually get out into the country and get some footage of that as well. So carrying some extra fuel is definitely a must. Now, as part of carrying the extra fuel, I decided I probably should have some safety equipment on board as well. So I'm going to be adding 2 fire extinguishers to my can, as well as a first aid kit. So there'll be more specifics on that later. So getting back to the action here, now you see me, I'm trying to figure out how I really want to mount this switch to the handlebar. Trying to see what feels more comfortable for me, because I got to reach over my main controls there in order to get to it whenever I want to use it. Another thing that kind of happened is they kind of laid the powder coat on it kind of thick, so I had to go off camera there and file down and sand down some of that paint so that way it would fit a little bit more snugly against the handlebar. Now I understand that this looks kind of weird at the moment, but let me explain myself. Yes, we are in my living room, and yes, I do this fairly often. And yes, I love to do this very often because of certain things that happen outside in the environment. Like one, the heat. Two, mosquitoes. And three, people walking up to me randomly telling me, hey, that's a nice bike, can you work on mine? And I tell them, no, leave me alone. And then I get super annoyed that they're over here talking to me because then they start going into, I know some dude, a best friend of a cousin of a best friend of an uncle and auntie or whatever who died on a motorcycle once. And I'm just like, bro, don't worry about it, I don't care. Like, don't ride like a moron and you'll be alright. So I want to take a moment to explain a couple of things that I have planned for this year. First of all, like I mentioned before, I want to get into some trail riding and try to get deep out into the woods and the countryside stuff. And in northern Alabama, it's very wooded and it's really gorgeous around, especially in late spring and going throughout the rest of the year for the most part. Second thing is I want to travel out further than from my home base and just really get out there and bring you guys more footage of how beautiful our country is. So that's why I'm over here getting all this stuff set up so that way I can travel further. I'm not really trying to do anything like overnight stays per se, because like I said, I still have a day job and stuff like that, and I can't let this interfere with that. But I do have vacation coming up, and I'd actually plan on making a trip somewhere special. So I'm definitely going to be bringing some video of that, as well as some extended weekends that I will be taking. So I'm definitely going to be trying to see if maybe possibly going out of state for that, try to bring some more views, some more scenery to you guys, especially for those who haven't been outside of their home state. I'm actually really trying to take this opportunity to bring some of the beauty of pretty much the southeast of the country to those who've never had the opportunity to travel out this way. I myself, I'm originally from the west coast of the country, and I've been in the middle, I've been on the west coast, and now I pretty much live close to the east coast. So I have a pretty good understanding of how beautiful our country is. So my whole vision for my channel is to bring some of that beauty onto YouTube where a lot of people can share, and if those who are interested in how certain areas look, they can queue up my videos and actually see how beautiful this country is. So getting back into the action here, now we're on the side of the bike where you can see I'm taking the battery cover off because I just finished situating the wiring harness for the arid signs and my phone mount up top, and now it's time for us to hook them up directly to the battery so that we get some power to those bad boys. So why the military theme, for those of you who are wondering? That's two reasons for that. One, I myself am a veteran. I served in the U.S. Army for 8 years and I went on 2 deployments. The second, actually, for those who don't know, Kawasaki KLRs had a diesel platform in the early 2000s that was also serving in the military. If I recall, the Marines were using them and Special Forces were using them. So with my background and the bike's background, I decided that because I hated, with a passion, the burnt orange that I bought the bike in, because that's the only color they had at the time, because I bought my bike pretty much when the 3rd generation first came out. Mine's a year 22, and that was the only color that I had access to, so I just went with what I could get. And this being my first bike, I decided I'm going to do something flashy with it, and now it's all decked out how you see now. All the scaffolding you see all around the bike are stuff that I added on over time, and then I since modified those to fit all the extra nonsense I put on the bike. So as far as all these add-ons I put on the bike so far, I'm actually not done yet. A slightly taller windscreen is in order. Fortunately, as far as adventure bikes, you kind of sit upright on them, which means you're susceptible to all the wind that hits you in the chest and head. So I definitely would like to get a larger windscreen for that, but not too big, so that way I got some air blowing on me, because it does get kind of hot out here in the south. The next thing is the seat. I would like to get a taller, more comfortable seat. The factory one's a little uncomfortable for long rides. And thirdly, I'm definitely putting a custom exhaust on this bad boy. I got one in particular that I'm not going to reveal at this point in time. I'm hoping here in the near future I can get some stuff situated. That way I can get that set up and created, because like I said, it's going to be a custom exhaust system, and I'm going to have to actually have it built in order for it to work and look the way I want it to. Now I do have one modification on hand on this bike that I did, which is going to be hilarious because I have a brother-in-law who's actually really short, and I'm definitely going to make sure next time I come around with my bike that I'm going to get him on here so I can laugh at how he's probably not going to have his tippy toes on the floor. Is that I did a 3-inch rear suspension lift on the bike because being 6'3" at the stock ride height, I'd have to have the spring compressed to its maximum spring rate, which would raise the back end of the bike, making it more suitable for my height, but that made the ride super uncomfortable. So what I did is I took ideas from another manufacturer that had their own suspension lift kit, and I kind of copied it in a way. Hush hush, not really, but pretty much I just did the same thing they did, but I just made my parts slightly shorter, which then equated to making the bike taller. That way I can run the rear shock at its lowest or softest setting, and then the ride would be a lot more comfortable. So now here we are, we moved to the front of the bike so we can really get a good look at these air raid sirens I have. They're very simple in design. There's just a little fan wheel, which you can see on the right hand side there. Unfortunately, I thought that I had parked my bike in my front yard on one of those little pavers, concrete pavers in the yard. It was late one night when I got back. Unfortunately, it stormed that night as well, and I didn't have it secured, and it fell over onto that siren. So that siren cup is kind of bent. I tried to straighten out as best I could so that way that one will move freely. Unfortunately, my plan didn't work out very well because I just went out there with a simple hammer and stuff. So I got to figure it out later. So I'm just putting it back on for the time being because I don't really mess with those that often. I pretty much only use those sirens when there's a crowd of people on the side of the road and they're giving me props for the bike, or if there's a kid who gets excited and sees me, I'll give them a little bit of those sirens, which definitely brightens up their day and definitely brightens mine. Now I've only been riding for less than 3 years now, and it's super gratifying that I put all this work into this bike to customize it and make it my own, to get such a good reply and appreciation for our done so far. Because everything I've done myself, with the exception of scaffolding that's made in the factory, but the sirens painted myself. Stars painted myself. The cans and ammo cans and gas cans painted myself. So here we are, getting towards the end of the video. Unfortunately, this is going to be a shorter one than what I normally do. And here we are, we finally get to see the ammo can in question that I mentioned earlier. And here I am, I'm playing with the toolkit that I showed you guys earlier. Unfortunately, I'm new to YouTube and stuff like that, and apparently sunlight's not enough to clearly see things. So there I am playing with the screwdriver because I'm a child at heart, apparently. So, but this is all that's going in to the ammo can. I got the med kit, I got the fire extinguishers, and then I have a couple other items set out on the table that I'll be using to mount everything in the can. So we're still going through the toolkit here, just kind of showing the features, at least trying to, but unfortunately, from what I understand, sunlight's not enough to illuminate everything. I need to do better on my lighting next time. So those bars you see there, and pretty much in the middle of the table, there we go, I'm kind of showing off the med kit, trying to show the features of it, and I guess we'll get to those bars here in a moment. But this, like I mentioned earlier, this med kit is kind of similar to what I would have in my IFAK. Like, it has the O'Reilly dressing, it has, if you notice in the center there, those little bandage rolls, so I'm grabbing those. There's scissors in there, there's a permanent marker with a whistle attached to it, so like there's a lot of similar stuff. We didn't have whistles in our IFAKs, but we had permanent markers. So, also, fun fact, it has the Molly gear webbing set up. So here, that's where we get to these bars. Those bars I actually took off of a M1117 ASV, or Armored Security Vehicle, that I was doing fire suppression upgrades on. Those upgrades required that I pull those bars off. A lot of them got thrown away in the scrap pile, but I decided to keep a couple. And wouldn't you know it, 10 years later, almost 15 years later, I'll be using them on this project. So there I kind of showed the spray cans, everything I spray painted on the bike. I just made my own stencils and everything. Now we get to the part where this images, because unfortunately I'm an idiot and I didn't realize that memory cards have limited amount of space that they can hold when you're recording video, and I forgot to clear it out, so I have enough space left on there for me to record this segment, which was setting up the ammo cans. So unfortunately that's all I have as far as video is concerned. So now we're gonna go into pictures. So here's the ammo can setup as far as the fire extinguisher mounting and that rail mounting for the med pack and the toolkit. Here you go again. Here's another image. Unfortunately, something happened to my image when I sent it from my phone to my email to my program here to put it on this video. I don't know why, but whatever. So I decided, since I have all this medical equipment or emergency equipment on board, I should probably have some kind of symbol showing people around me, hey, if something happens, there's something in here to help. So I decided that it'd probably be a good idea to put the most universal, you can find help here symbol I could think of, which is the American Red Cross. Well, that's it for today's episode, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in. I appreciate your viewership. So please, if you enjoyed this video or any of my other ones, please like and subscribe. And shoot a comment down there. Let me know what kind of music you guys would like to listen to next. I'm very open to suggestions. So thanks very much. My name is Los, and this is MilSpec KLR, signing off.